guests, all of you. I have to qualify this presentation by saying that I am a self-taught marketer. I am an on-the-go learner and really learned by the seat of my pants as I went along. I'm no expert. I'm no expert at all. I can tell you from my experience that marketing is constant when you're running your own business. It's relentless, and it is absolutely fundamentally necessary. So because of that, sometimes if you're not a natural marketer, it can feel like a should. And I hate shoulds. I don't like being should on. So anything that we can do to make our marketing a little bit easier, a little bit stressful on ourselves is a very good thing. We also have to balance that with being able to have marketing formulas or ways that are going to create the most effective use of our time and our materials and our money and our resources. So we want it to be good, but we don't necessarily want it to be hard. I've learned from many gurus, various marketing tricks and tips and ways to make things easier and better and a little more effective for me. And one of the best things that I learned is the simplest. And that's Cheryl Roosh, who is a distinguished Toastmaster. She's also an accredited speaker within the Toastmaster family. She also is a certified professional speaker with the NAA, the National Association, NSA, National Speakers Association. She teaches and markets, and she's just an incredible, bubbly, sparkly kind of person. And she taught me in a very painful way this method that I'm going to share with you today. It's a simple formula. It's based on neuroscience. It's based on the way humans process information. And it's also based on the way most of us in Western cultures read. And so I'll explain the painfully part for you in a minute, but just so that you know, it gives you a really great jumping off place, a place to start. It ensures that you have included everything that you need to include. It enables you to create a very effective one sheet or marketing poster or anything that you're advertising. And most importantly, it is the most effect for the use of your time and your resources. Painfully, because in a seminar that she taught, she asked people to submit their marketing materials, which she put up on the screen and then picked apart and reorganized. And I was one of the ones that volunteered one of my marketing flyers, which subsequently went in the garbage after that seminar. So I'm just going to share my screen. Oh, I need to be able to share my screen. Can you just enable that? Sorry, I should have asked you that at the very beginning, Steve.
You should be good to go now.
Okay. Okay, everybody see that? Can everybody see that? Great. Okay, this is the grid. I'm going to post the slides in the chat so that everybody will see the order and they're numbered. This is the grid. So it would be a good idea for you right now to just draw this on a piece of paper. It's a square, make a bar across the top and divide the page into 4 sections. Each section has a very specific function. We are going to be reading this from A to B to C to D in a great big Z. And that is because that's how our Western brains want to process information. We go to A first, automatically. Then our eyes and our brain travel to B. And then we go down to the bottom left-hand corner and we finish up in the bottom right-hand corner. And I actually caught myself doing this with advertising. I just got junk mail and looking at it. And it truly is how we look at things. So that's the formula we're going to go with. What we're going to start with, and I'm going to go through these fairly quickly and give you examples because we don't have a lot of time today and I don't want to go over. So, number one, ask a question, hit a nerve, find the pain. For all of you coaches out there, this should be a fairly simple, straightforward thing. What is the need that is missing? And ask a question about it. Here's an example. You can text, but can you talk face to face? This is a presentation that I did for a dental group, a dental convention. So then we're going to have a subtext under that explains a little bit about what we're offering, the art of verbal interaction and why your career depends on it. Do you see how I've kind of pressed a little bit into a need? So you'll see some other examples later, but that is the number one thing, is figure out about asking a question or making a bold statement about a need or a pain or something that you have a solution to. Next, where the eye goes first, we want a visual, a graphic. In my previous advertising materials, I had worried looking dentists concerned about their businesses. And that's not what we want. What we want is a graphic that depicts the results. We want the after. So A stands for a visual, but it also stands for after. We want the result. Here's an example. This was for a whoops. Okay, now I need to go previous. Okay, so this was for a Toastmasters club that predominantly was attracting disabled. The PDF, it didn't come out well in the PDF, putting it into PowerPoint when I flipped it over to graphics. So the line at the top, it doesn't fit. Just ignore that for now, but you can see that what we're looking for is the after effect. So you want a bold graphic in A that shows after. B is benefits, and we want them easy peasy to be read, so we put them in bullet forms. So all of the benefits. So this is another presentation that I delivered to a dental group, Keep Your Staff Without Losing Your Mind, Survival Strategies for Dentists and Their Teams. See all the happy team in the graphic in A, and then in B, I've got the benefits in bullets. So we will either want ticks or something that is a bullet. Cheryl tells me that if you have a box, people mentally are ticking them. If you put ticks there already, it feels like it's already done. So you create that space for the brain to want to go down and check off the little boxes. So you think of all the benefits and you list them there in square B. Square C is where you put all that clutter information that normally you have, or I did, sprinkled all over my advertising material that was really not concise. You want to try and gather all of that information into C, because C is actually the time where people will spend the least amount of time looking and reading. They might go back and revisit it, but here is where you want to put your blurb. So you can talk about what you're offering. You can talk about some of the reasons why, talk about your why, maybe a little bit of history, what what the package looks like. Is it a course? How many sessions is it? Like all the little bits and blurbs. I like to I can't remember the name of it, when you make it so that all the letters come in a square rather than all jiggity jaggedy. I can't remember the name, but to do that so that it's a nice tidy square. Remove the hyphens. Whatever publishing software you're using, you can format it so that the hyphens are removed and words are spread out. I want to say verify, but I'm not sure that's the word. Anyway, rather than have it centered or in a paragraph form, I like it to be a nice tidy square. Take the hyphens out and gather all the information that is not relevant to any of the other squares and put it in C for clarity, because people will come back to that square. There's another example where I just did it in a slightly different way. This was another dental presentation, obviously. And so I have, you can see that I've got my happy dentists in the graphic. I've got my, that was actually the name of my presentation. Do you want floss with that? Dental business nuggets, fast, hot, and easy. And what I had done was take some of the business principles of a fast food franchise and apply it across the board to just about any business, but specifically to dental. This was a very fun presentation. My handouts were in red French fry boxes on little cards. It was really fun. But you can see that in square C, what I've got is basically all my reasons why and all the details about what I was offering. D is do. That is your call to action. That is where people can find you, where they can what their next steps are, how much, where they can pay, when. It's all the journalistic questions. Who, what, when, where, and how. You can put them there with a call to action. And here's another one for a Toastmaster presentation that I did on evaluating. You can see that we have the after effect of the happy Toastmasters, or we started with a question. Do you want to take your evaluations to the next level? We have our happy Toastmasters. We have our bullet points. We have our blurb that talks a little bit about the process. And then we've got C, where we've got a call to action. Don't miss this. Then who is hosting it, where they can find us, what time was it, where was it, and who. So that's where you would, I always put a picture of myself so that I'm not a stranger in the room when people walk into the room, who I am, what my credentials are. You can see this is an old one because my credentials are not updated. I put any logos that I'm allowed to use for my credentials, etc. Who, what, when, where, and how, and this important call to action right here. Here are another couple of posters that I did. There's the you can talk, but you can text, but can you talk face to face? And you can see in that graphic, I found people that were looking at their phones. So you might say, well, that's not a result. But if you look closely, you can see that two of the people have their phones, they've left their phones and they're looking at each other. So that to me sent a message that even in a crowd, you can find the people that aren't glued to their telephones. So we've got our bullet points, we've got our question, we've got our result in box A, we've got our bullet points in box B, we've got our blurb in box C that tells about it, and we've got our call to action and the who, what, when, where, and how And this is something, this particular one is what I sent out to meeting planners. So I included an email that had a little bit of a tease, and then I attached this poster and said, you know, if you want your audiences to hear something that they can totally relate to, no matter what age, here's the poster for this particular presentation. I know it will be a winner for your conference, etc. So I actually sent them the one sheet in an email as an attachment. This one, I can't see my timer, I'm afraid. How am I doing for time?
Looks like you're
Catherine?
on the red.
I'm on the red. Okay, then we're going to finish up here. So here's another one. You can just see it's a jungle out there, a bold statement. You can see the after with the happy faces, the bullet points, the blurb, and the do, call to action. A, B, C, D, A, B, C, D. So very, very quickly, A, B, C, D, there's your grid. And this one I did up in literally 5 minutes and threw it on the slide. Call to action, the after, the bullet points, the blurb, and the call to action. And that's it. That's
wow.
it. I'm done.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Kristin. That was so useful and informative for me. I'm guessing anybody else who's been doing their own marketing like